Hi guys, it's Colette, and today I'll be working on these amazing nails using a holographic pigment with a duochrome as the base color. If you'd like to see more nail art tutorials, be sure you're subscribed to my channel, My Simple Little Pleasures. And if you'd like to see how I did these, just stay tuned. So I know this rose design really didn't show up well on camera, and I'm going to do it in some different colors, maybe next, but in person, I really like it. The pink roses really pop in person, and I did this on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so today is actually my 6th day of wearing it, and I might even have kept it on until tomorrow, except I just lost my right pinky. And that happened just after I did my hair, which is kind of a twofold risk in that a lot of times the hair product, if it's, greasy or oily, if that works under the edges, that can make the peel-off base coat come off. Or at this point, with this much wear on the nails, sometimes I'll also have a problem with it getting caught near the cuticle, a little hair get under there, and then that can cause the polish to come off. So I'm just going to take the rest of these off, and you see they're all coming off pretty easily. I didn't want to lose any while I was out and about. So I'll get this last one off here. Then clean up my nails, and I think I'm actually going to file them just a little bit. I really like them at this length, but it's been such a long time since I've had them this long that I'm noticing getting a little awkward when I'm typing and stuff. So I'm just going to take off a little bit of length. I really was planning on revisiting the flowers, but I couldn't really find the exact colors that I was picturing in my head. And then this showed up in the mail. And I know I'm a little bit late to the game with the holographic powder, but it seemed like it was really expensive, and like with the chrome powder, I got it right away and then saw a bunch of cheaper alternatives. So I really wanted to look around a little bit and try to find something that was on the lower end as far as price, but still high quality and not too grainy. And just looking at this in the container, hopefully get that same kind of a finish on my nails. If you are interested in this exact specific kind, there will be a link included down in the information box. And we'll see once we get to that step how it applies. To start out, of course, I'm going to be applying my base coat. And as usual, I'm using Ready for Takeoff, which is a peel-off base coat, and you can use whichever is your personal favorite. For my base color, I decided to use Zoya Olivera, which is this dark, kind of a dark purple and green duochrome. And a lot of times with the holo powder, I've seen it applied over black or over another solid color, but I've not personally seen it done over a duochrome, although I'm sure somebody has, but I just thought this would be a really cool color to use with it. Since I'm doing the holo on top, I probably could get away with just one coat of Olivera, but I did go with 2, and I will just mention, if you're going to wear this color on its own, just be kind of mindful of the brush strokes on your final coat. I'm not sure how well it shows up on camera, but I do have a couple places where you can kind of see some wonky brush strokes in there, but I want this to be completely dry before I move on to the next step with the gel polish. So to help that out, I'm just going to top all my nails with Seche Vite. Before I get started on the holo pigment, one more thing I almost forgot. I had a couple requests to see the rose in matte, and I was going to do it before I took it off, and I forgot, so I went ahead and just did it on one of my peelies. So for everybody who wanted to see it matte, there it is. Really glad I didn't forget to show you guys that. But I really haven't done any testing or playing around with the holographic powder yet. But from what I understand, it's just the same as the chrome pigment, except hollow. So I'm going to start out with a coat of Pink Shellac Ultra Shine as my no wipe gel top coat. And I'm going to just apply this very, very carefully on my nails. And make sure you get a very nice, clean, smooth finish. Like with the chrome, I'm assuming any lumps or bumps will show up in the powder. And once I've got that applied, I'm gonna go ahead and cure my nails for 60 seconds. All right, that is all cured. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. I actually haven't opened it before. And there you can see the powder. And while I was on my little Amazon shopping spree, I also got some of these little flexible silicone thingies. I got a set of 5 and they're double-ended. I decided to try this kind of rounded one because I thought it might make it easier to go in near the cuticle. And I'm just gonna dip it into a little bit of the holo powder, get some on there, and then start buffing it onto my nail. And I decided to get some of these silicone things because I thought they might be a little cleaner to work with than like the makeup sponges as far as the powder flying all in the air. And so far I can say that that is definitely true. So yeah, obviously I can use these for my chrome powder also. Wow, that's so pretty. And I'm just going to continue around, make sure to get on all the edges at the tip of the nail, and just buff this holo into all my nails. I'm kind of mesmerized. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you guys can see the awesomeness that's happening here. And once I get this done, I'll be back. So that is awesome, obviously. I'm going to use my same little soft brush like I do with my chrome to brush off any excess. I see a lot of people that'll use like liquid latex around the edges. I don't really think that's necessary because anything that doesn't come off you can easily just wash off once you're completely done. And really what you want is to make sure that there is no loose pigment remaining on the nail before you top coat. If you want to go in and do any extra cleanup around like the edges or around the cuticle, you could go in with a little bit of polish remover or a little bit of acetone. I had a couple places on the very sides where I don't think I got the gel top coat, and it wasn't sticking very well. I thought about neatening that up a little bit, but I don't think it's really necessary. I don't think that it is super noticeable. So I'm going to go in again with the Ultra Shine and then cure for another 60 seconds. Wow, and really, I hope you guys can see that on camera. The top coat really makes the holo pop even more. You can see my pinky compared to the other nails. So in addition to obviously protecting it from rubbing off, it actually enhances the holo. On my right hand, I already have my gel top coat applied, and I thought I would just give a try with this other silicone tool. I liked the round one for getting in at the cuticle, but it seemed like it was slightly like not as flexible as I expected, so I think this one's a little bit more flexible. I thought I'd just give it a try, and actually just from even starting on this one nail, I can say even though this one isn't rounded, I kind of prefer it a little bit because of the flexibility. I actually have, like I said, it's a set of 5. They all are double-ended, so 8 other shapes I could try. And it probably also comes down a little bit to personal preference also. But you can definitely use like the corners of this one to get in all the little spots. I was kind of using the rounded end of the other one to get in. So I'm just going to do my right hand, and actually let me get a little closer in here. Oop. So you guys can really see. I will also just mention a couple things while I'm doing this. The reason you brush after you apply is to get rid of as much of the excess pigment as you can, but it's kind of inevitable that there will still be some little tiny loose particles, and you want to do as good of a job as you can to keep those out of your top coat. What I usually do, and I don't think I've really talked about it before, is when I'm applying the final layer of gel top coat, if I see that there's a bunch of the pigment that's like sticking on there, I'll actually take a paper towel or Kleenex and wipe off the brush of the top coat before I stick it back in the bottle. Even with that, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to get some contamination in the bottle. So I kind of decided to just kind of keep mine separate. This is a new bottle of top coat that I've been using for the holo, and I think I'll just keep this the holo bottle and the other bottle my chrome bottle, and that's completely up to you. It's very minor if you're careful not to get a bunch in there, but it is something that I realized I hadn't really talked about before and did want to mention. So, like I mentioned, just brush off all the excess that you can. Try also to get under the tips of your nails. That will help with preventing any excess pigment from getting in the top coat when you wrap the tips. And then, let me just show you guys here quickly. Like I mentioned on the other hand, the top coat really makes the holo extra vibrant. So you want to carefully apply the top coat, wrap those tips, and then before I dip back in, I'll usually just check the brush, and that looks pretty clean. I didn't have any excess there, and if I did, I would just wipe it off so that it doesn't go inside the bottle. here. I'm not sure if the camera will focus enough for you to see. There's a little bit of holo on there. Just enough. Sometimes it's like it's almost hard to see until you angle it at the right angle. But I'm just going to wipe that off on a paper towel. And there you can see it's cleaner before I put it back in the bottle. It's hard to get it all off. It's just part of working with these pigments, I guess. So here's the finished manicure, and I just am in love with this pigment, powder, whatever you want to call it. I'm really glad that I finally picked some up. And if I had anything at all negative to say about it, it's that it does tend to kind of point out any imperfections in your nail. My nails that tend to bend or curve a little bit, like my index finger, you can see that the rainbow reflects a little bit differently there. But overall, this is just full of awesomeness, and even more awesome in direct sunlight. I took a little break to run outside and record a polish in motion for this. And I actually have the base color before I added the holo pigment, the pigment in the jar, and then the pigment on my nails, both in the sun and in the shade. And in the sun, it's just like rainbows all over the place. But in the shade, it's a lot more subtle, and you actually can still see quite a bit of the duochrome base color. So, of course, I'd love to hear what you guys think of this. If you have played around with any of the holo pigments yourself, and if you haven't quite taken the plunge yet, like I mentioned before, this is a pretty reasonably priced option. A lot of the pigments that I've seen are like $30 or $40 for the same amount of powder, or the ones that are cheaper are not quite as fine a grain powder. But this is really fine grain, really smooth holo, and I believe it was only like $11.99. So I'll have that linked down in the information box, as well as the silicone brushes if you're interested in those. Stay tuned in the next couple days for the polish in motion of this, and then right around the corner is Water Marble March. So be sure to subscribe if you're not already, and turn on those notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.